Hi guys, in this video we're talking about how to make use of the landing page builder on Seller. Precisely, we'll be building it together. So kindly note that this video is split into like two or three sections in order to make it more explanatory and in-depth. Building, it's a page for vendor, if someone that sells a different type of hair. So there are about six sections on this page. So we have this is the welcome section, this particular one here with the logo and text. The collection section with a types of collections and products that they sell. A kind of like here is an about me section. Here is features of the product section, features of the merchant, what they offer. Here is the best selling products, and here is an opt-in form where they put in the details. So we'll be creating all these pages. So first of all, we'll navigate to our landing page. To do that, you click on this hamburger icon right here and navigate to sales pages. Now, yours might be blank, but because I've worked on a couple of pages, that's why I have a couple of them here. So you come to this create page button, you click on blank template and put in the details for your sales page. So here we have here done, you click on create page. So almost immediately the landing page builder. So let me drag this here. So before we start, usually when you're building from scratch, you'll be making use of rows and columns. I say rows and columns, sorry, rows and containers. And this is the building blocks and the most frequently used containers when building a sales page. So instead of coming to components and coming to containers, we're dragging out a row and a container. I would rather just duplicate what I have here, duplicate it like in many places, so that each time I'm in need of it, I just drag it out and make use of it. So I have them already here. So we are starting with this section. In this section, we have a background image, we have a logo, and we have some text here. So first of all, we'll be starting with the logo. So to create a logo, now some people might have logo to be a text, but in our case, we have an image. So we import an image here, image placeholder. So then we'll change the placeholder to our logo. So my logo is this, okay, and this is quite big. We'll change the size. You can change the width and the height, but I'm changing just the height, 70. And this looks better, or maybe even 80. Now, if you look closely to this logo, it has this kind of black shadow round about it. It is done with a curved container. So what we want to do here is click on the container and set the size to auto. Auto means set the size of the container based on the size of the content. Now this extra space here is a padding on the container. I told you that padding is used to manage the space inside the container, and margin is used to manage the space outside of a container. So there are some paddings here, that's why there's this excess space here. So let's reduce the padding. Reduce the padding to 15. It looks fine. Now back here, the logo will have this oval shadow, kind of oval shaped shadow. So to create this oval shaped shadow, we're using now back here, the logo will have this oval shadow, kind of oval shaped shadow. So to create this oval shaped shadow, we're using the radius settings. Radius settings is what give the oval shape. If you look at this part, this little curved part here is done by the radius settings. So we go to radius settings and set it to 50, and we have our oval shape, and it looks fine. And set the background color to black. You can even make it a bit transparent, a little bit, and that's done. That's all fine. We are done with this logo. So the next is working on the text. So now before we continue, now I told you that if you notice that this text right here did not span or through, did not span across this line here. Instead it is kind of like restricted. So that's what we use That's what we do with the container. We set the kind of width for a content that okay, it should not pass, it should not span across, it should not pass this line here. So we need a container to contain this content, and we also need a row to set the position. I told you that a row is used to set the position of a content. The container is used to set the size. So we need a container that is in a row. You can see the name of your container here. This is a container in a row. So let's put in our text placeholder. We have one. Now, normally I might use one if all these three different texts have the same font or the same styling, but they don't. This is different from this and different from this. So I'm using three different ones. So I'll duplicate it. Three. So the first one says welcome. I just do welcome. Second one says to. Just do to. Let's go copy it. Charlie's Beauty Collections. This is fine. Now let's increase the size. Let's set the size and the font. This is size to be about 4x. This is size to be about. No, this should be more than 4x. Let's say 7 because it's quite big. So 3, and this should be like 4, 5. Let's say 4. That's one. Secondly, the font. We are using, I think, Avena as our default font. This is style to Ole, and this is to Avena. Now, but this should be bold. It's quite bold. If you look at it here, it's bold. And this is not. So we are setting the positioning now of this to center. The text positioning comes with every text to center. Now let's set the. Now I told you that we don't want this text to span across, so we'll be using this container to set the width. Let's set it to 40%, and let's set the position now to end. Now remember I told you that this is to set the positioning of the content based on a vertical scale, and this is set on a horizontal scale. So if I put it to start, it starts center to the middle end. This is a vertical scale. If this container were to have lots of spaces in between, at top here and top here, if I set this to start, this content goes up. Set it to center, it is in the middle. Set it to end, it is below. It starts center to the middle end. This is a vertical scale. If this container were to have lots of spaces in between, at top here and top here, if I set this to start, this content goes up. Set it to center, it is in the middle. Set it to end, it is below. We want it to be centered. So let's save. You can use the preview mode to view how it looks like, but I like using the live link. And remember that the live link is what, when you are done with the page, is what you send to customers and they used to like access the page. So I have this page right here. I think it's almost done. It's fine. Now let's work on the background image. Remember in the previous video we talked about background images. Now you can only add a background image to a container. You cannot add a background image to a row. Now these are rows, so we need to put these rows in a container to be able to set the background image. This should be out. Here. So I want to put this one in the row as well as this one. So now that they are all in the container, I want to set the background image of the container. Now background image should be not color, image. Change image. And my background image is this. Oh, let's go. Okay, before we do that now, if you look at the background image, you can see if you save, let's save and view the live link. Reload this. You can see how the image is duplicated. Right. So what you want to do is you set the settings for the background image. You don't want it to repeat. Set to no repeats. Now you see the other part is gone. You set the size to cover. That means you should cover the whole page, the whole content of the page. Like here. So the last one is set it to top center. You can turn the position into whatever you like, left center, but I'm using top center here. So that's fine. Let's go and change the color of this text. So I want this color to be white, and white. Then you save changes and come to the live link. We're almost done, right? Does it look good? Yes, if you ask me. Oh, please let me cancel this. So it looks good, right? So it looks good, right? Yes. So all we want to do is we want this image to cover the whole screen. Now, usually what the background does is covers the content, but we want this one to cover the whole screen. So what we do, we have about there are different ways to achieve that. You can also either like add a margin to this container right here, to this container, add like margin settings bottom to it. You can notice it pushes the container down. What margin does it, if you add the margin top to a container, it pushes whatever content away from it. So if you add margin top, it comes down, it pushes spaces up. If you add margin left, it pushes space to the left and the content moves to the right. If you add margin right, it pushes space to the right and the content moves to the left. So if you want space below, you use margin bottom. So it pushes space down and the content is moved a bit up. So we can do that if we save this and view the live link. You can see that it's almost covered, right? Yeah, but what I like to do instead of this is, instead of adding margin bottom, for this specific case, I like to add empty containers to create an illusion of space. So the background thinks there are contents in here, but there's nothing there, just an empty container. So if you save this and view the live link, you see you get almost the same, you get the same effect. You can see it's full. That's right. So it's quite full right now because the container had kind of an illusion of content, but there's nothing in it. So I've achieved what I want. So one other thing I like us to do is, if you look at the text, it's quite positioned differently. This is more closer and this is a bit stretched to the side. So we can remove, what we do is we remove the padding on this bigger container. Now I told you that the padding is used to add space inside of a container. It manages the space inside. So if you remove some padding from it, it stretches. You can see it's stretched to the side. So with this done, you should have something close to. You can see it's stretched to the side. You can see it's almost close. But I think I like it this way. I don't need to adjust it any longer. If you want to adjust it, you can just reduce the padding and add some margin to the side of this to position it exactly the way this is. But I think I like the way it is right now, and it's fine. So we're done with that section. We are moving to the collection list section. Now this section, we have a text, we have an underline on the landing page. We call it a divider. We have an image, a text, and a button. So what we do is we'll work on this first, then we'll come to this. So we have let me delete this. I don't need this again. Oh, excuse me. My screen is. So this, we want the text. We'll go for a text placeholder. That's one. Then a divider. What the underline? This is a divider. Place that under. That's fine. So it's called collection list. Set it to the middle center and increase the size to this. We're changing the font. Remember the font we are using is Avena. I'm making it bold. This is fine. So this looks nice. So now we'll work on the divider. We'll set the divider's thickness to let's say 3. Make it a solid line. We'll set the width to about, let's just say 14. And the color, which is our primary color, is this thickness to let's say 3. Make it a solid line. We'll set the width to about, let's just say 14. And the color, which is our primary color, is this. Yeah, so that should be fine. Let's save and see how it looks like. And remember I said you can also just go to preview mode. Preview mode shows you how the page looks like on different screen sizes, tablet, mobile, and desktop. I'm gonna cancel this preview mode, it's shaking. Delete the preview mode part. It's shaking. So look at our page. Okay, it looks like it's fine. Let's see. Let's just reduce and I think increase the size of this on the line here. So we make it more thick for and reduce it. It's too long. Let's say it's about 9. Let's save. So now let's check out how our page looks like, how the divider looks like. I feel it's fine. It's okay. So we'll later work on the space between this our text and this previous image here. So but after that we'll be working on the images. The text and the button. Let's do that. Okay, now we'll be working on that. Let me duplicate more of this. So we keep working on that. So we need a container to be able to manage the size and kind of like set the width for our content, each image. So and we need to put all of them in a row so that we can set it to be centered, or we can move it to the left or to the left or to the right. And so that on lower screen, on screens like mobile and tablets, we can set this alignment to be vertical instead, so to be in a column, so they'll be aligned after one another instead of being like this. Because you can imagine if a small screen is viewing all these four products at the same time, like this on a vertical alignment, it's not nice. So usually what we do is we set them on a column or a vertical kind of view, so they'll be on each other, got stacked on each other, so you can easily view it that way. So what we'll do is we'll set everything in a row. One, we'll have a container that sets the width of this whole content. Two, so everything will be in a container, which is all in a row. That's two. Also, what I would like to do is before I'll put this image itself in another row. And this is why. Because if this image is not in a row, on mobile screen, this whole image might not be the full width of the screen. So it might come to the side, it might have unnecessary spaces here. When we get there, I will show you what I'm trying to say. But let's work with that for now. So we'll be having a container, a row, a container, and then we want another row. Let's remove this and another row. So we put in. You can as well just put them all in a container. Really, it works fine. But some images might not be wide enough. That's why sometimes I just put them in a row, so I can align it. So if an image is in a row, I can put it in the center. I can use this row to center it. So even if the image is kind of small, it's just small this way to be in the center, so it looks nice that way. So I have image, yeah, like something like this. If this was a mobile view, and instead of the image to span across this way, because the image size is small, it's like this. It's not looking nice. So I'd rather just put them in a row so I can center it. So now it's in the center, it looks fair this way, and the buttons can be under. So now let's set this is our image. That's one. We need the text and the button. So the text will be right under here, and we need the button. So for the button as well, I like to put my button in a container that is in a row, so that if I want for different screen, if I want the button to span across, I will need the button. So for the button as well, I like to put my button in a container that is in a row, so that if I want for different screen, if I want the button to span across, I just set the size of this container and set the row to center. So it's not as if the button will be small and be in a corner. So let's drag our button here, right? And I'm dragging this whole thing inside this content. Now this is just for a single one. No, we'll resize it so that it looks nice. So once you can do one for a single one, you just duplicate it and change the picture and change the text, and you're fine. So I think this is fine. Let's remove the padding from this container. So it's about two. Just make it very small. I don't need it. Let's say the size of the container to auto, just to be round about the button. And let's position the button to the center. It's forming right. So we're setting this to let's leave it. Let's leave this for now. So this looks nice. Now let's change the color. Now I thought we have like a default primary color, which is kind of the wine kind of color. Let's change this here. Let's see. That's fine. And it says shop here. The text is shop here. The text is shop here. That's wrong. Shop here. So this we can change now. Notice that the size of the button is bigger than what is on right here. If we save this and look at it on the live link, you can see it's kind of big, right? It's bigger. So we can work on it. We can reduce the padding. And I thought the padding is used to set space inside the content. So if we remove the padding top to about 10, it should be fine. Let's try 15 for this one. 10 and 15. Make it look like it looks something closely related. Okay, let's make it wider. Let's set it back to 25. The padding top and bottom should be 10, and the padding right and left should be 25, so it will be long. To give this long look. Yeah, I think it's like this way. So now that we have it all figured out, let's do now that we have it all figured out, let's duplicate our content to four places. In four places, so we have in four places. Or what I like to do is I set each container to 20%. Now this is 1, 2, 3, 4. I still want spaces here. So I send the container to 20%. So it's 80. So I still have little space by the side. So I have this to be 20%, 20%, 20%, and 20%. And the row we set them all to the center. It's coming up right. Look at it now. It's something like this. So we want to reduce the padding on this container. Really, it's making content small. So let's just reduce the padding to. We don't really need padding. Let's make it 5. No padding here should be 5. 5. Now see the text is bigger. So after that, we can also reduce this padding here. We can add more padding to this image right here. Maybe more padding top to it here. I feel so. Let's add more padding top right here. Remember I told you we are working on it together. I'm not trying to like just okay. Then so let's reduce the padding here to let's say 2, because we don't need any of these paddings. We need more of the image. We don't need more of those spaces. So this is fine. And this is fine. So now let's change the images. Let's change these images. We have the first one is this image. I have the image already. So in your case, you might have to upload the image, but I have the image already, so I just go there and pick out the image and use it. So the one here, okay. This one. And the third one with the lady. The last one with this. Yeah, I think that's fine. So the text now is weeks air bundle. change the text. Wait, let's center it. Bundle center. Um, this frontal center. Last one. Let's. I think they are all okay. We are going to add bold to all of them and set the font family to our default font. Or make this a bold. Set. I forgot to make this bold. So let's see how it looks like. Let's save this and view it on our live link. Aha! It looks good, right? Yes, it does. Now, but I think one more thing. You see our image is not really aligned. It's fine, right? But I want to go and set the size of the image. Now let's go set size to, let's say the height to be 270. Set this to be 270. Mine it looks stretched because of the container. Everything here is 20%. So 70. Let's see what it looks like. Can make it to 50. I think 270 is kind of bright. Yes, this is nice. So now I see they are aligned together, same height. Now this looks good, right? It looks so good. Now what else is to be done? We need space in between here, and we need space here and space here, right? So we need space between here, space here, and we need space here. So we're adding we can add a kind of margin here, margin top to this container here for the space. Say 25, 30. It's fine. Let's add margin top to this. Okay, let's reduce this padding because it's making the space between this text and this button a bit far off, and we don't want that. We want them to be right on top of each other. So we want to reduce the padding here as well. So let's say 5, 5, 5, which is fine. Now let's give a margin top to this one so that we can push the image a bit higher up. Let's say margin top of 10. That's how that looks like. Let's use this one. Yeah, I think this is fine. Yeah, that's fine. So we can use 10. Margin top of 10. Use 10. Base 10. So let's save this and see how it looks like. Wow, I think that looks good. Let's see. I think we still need more space here. But aside that, yeah, I think the buttons are a bit stretched, but that's fine. That's fine. The buttons looks good too, so I guess that's fine. So let's add more space here. Okay, we're adding a margin top. So let's make it 40. 5 changes. Yeah, let's see. Doesn't look like it's enough. Let's add on this one. Say 10. Now I add the first one here. I don't want to stretch it too much. I'm adding the next one here, which is fine. So I save changes. I go and reload my live link. Now it's down. So I feel this is fine. So we've done the first section and second section. Yeah, this looks very good.